how are you going to tell Jason, hey, you're going to do a fight while all this thing's moving? And sure enough, Jason comes in, looks at it, he goes, okay, I'm going to do it. And I go, you are? He goes, yeah. And he jumps right in it.
I went behind the scenes of Jason Statham's stunts in the film A Working Man with stunt coordinator Eddie Fernandez, and he rated which stunt was the most difficult.
He does all his, most of his fights. He does a lot of his, ground pounds, flipping, switching, all that stuff. He wants to do everything. And I'm like, Jason, but I know he'd do it. I know he could, if I had to say so, I would say, let him do it all. But, it's safety first. And so we have to take care of our leads, especially our action actor, Jason.
In the scene where Levon storms the drug lord's hideout, it's not just the chaos on screen that hits hard. Eddie breaks down how that stunt was choreographed and what happens when you're fighting 5 guys in a small space barely wide enough to move.
Anytime you're in a close quarters, there's a lot of, accidental elbows or somebody falls in the wrong place or wrong, because, you're squeezed like that. But to us to train and know that area, it helped us a lot. And so, Jason did a lot of training and realized where he needed to be at certain times. So once we choreograph this fight, he knows where the next punch or the next kick or the next weapon that he's going to use, that person's going to be there. And to work in a small quarter like that, and in Dutch's little gang hideout, it was a small room. Things had to be done right. Camera angles had to be right. So there was a lot of movements on the camera, a lot of movements on him.
How many hours of rehearsal goes into a scene like that? And what are some things that you really want to nail down in rehearsal?
Well, to that scene, once we find out what the area is at, we go to another training facility, which is more bigger area, but we box everything out to make it look like these are the boundaries we have. And so now we practice on it. And now we decide, to make this even more interesting, can one of those objects on that wall be a breakaway so he could grab it, crash it on somebody? That helps sell the scenes, the punches, and helps him disarms that guy while he's taking care of somebody else. So I give props and the special effects, thumbs up for doing a great job for getting what we need to make that scene, really sell out.
And with so many moving parts, there are bound to be some unexpected things, including unscripted stunts.
We had a guy flip into a table, which that table wasn't even in the script, but we decided, let's break that table. That's real glass. So, this guy needs to perform right and land on the right position, Then we had where Dutch was sitting, it's a real motorcycle parts, and a lot of motorcycle parts throughout the whole area. So you're looking at heavy objects in a small little, small room, and somebody could get hurt. The floor itself was the actual floor. I mean, it had, I was walking around hammering nails that were popping up, like, we got to fix this,
We will be rating degree of difficulty on the stuntometer. So, what's the score of this scene?
I say I give it like about 90.
In typical Jason Statham fashion, the action doesn't stop there. Later, he's chased by the gang after he was caught spying. And to get away, he steals a motorcycle. What sort of challenges were there with shooting this at night and in the dark?
Well, that was a challenge. We shot that in a location of an old military place in London, and we had to shoot that at night. And to light up the areas that we had because otherwise it'd be pitch black. That was hard, and we had to deal with the weather. And the weather in London, it rains a lot. I mean, everything turned to mud, and dealing with mud, and it's just harder work. I mean, we couldn't get the lights up there. We couldn't get this over there. We could only do one run because now the bike's sliding. It's dangerous for the bike to do this run. So there was a lot of help from the crew. I mean, they helped us, throwing gravel, get this car stuck out of the mud, get them out.
One thing that goes unnoticed and unseen when dealing with stunts is time. Time is money and has to be factored into the film's budget.
That was very hard to shoot because you're dealing now with Mother Nature, and it's something you can't avoid. And again, you cannot just say, hey, we'll shoot this later, because everything's all scheduled and it's a time frame. You have so many man days to finish this film. Otherwise, it's going to cost X amount of money, and you don't want to go over budget. So there's a lot of pressure with that. So the chasing to me was a very hard sequence to do.
At the end of this sequence, Levon is launched off the motorcycle and onto a car windshield. Now, because of some insurance reasons and some safety concerns, Jason shot this scene with some help from his stunt double.
Jason would have done it. no problem. I would, but this is a problem that we said, hey, we need to get your double to do this. So he actually rode the bike, and then we rode up to the squad car, and he actually launched, broke the glass and everything else. And then we had Jason come in, and Jason also did, but not as fast, but he also rolled up to it, and he just wrestled his body into the window, everything else, which he could have cut himself. To me, it was still a good stunt for him. And not only that, we get to see his face, and you could see, his reactions. And that was something that I think Jason would have done himself, but for insurance reasons, and so we could finish the film, we had to bring in a double for that.
So, what's the degree of difficulty for this stunt?
I say that was like good 95%.
The last scene to break down and rate with Eddie takes place in a moving and flipping van, all while Jason Statham is handcuffed.
That was hard to shoot, and it was a more difficult one because Dave says, yeah, so when the van, he accidentally shoots the driver loses control. We flip the van, and it goes sliding, and I go, okay, and I go, so then we cut into the van to see the fight. He goes, no, the fight's happening while all this is happening. Well, the car is flipping, and I go, what? We're going to shoot that? So that was like, okay, how are we going to do that? So, of course, yeah, we have special effects. We flipped the van first, and then once the van was used for the exterior, where we took the van, and then we took the center of the van, and we put it on a gimbal. And now we have the thing moving sideways inside the stage. But still, how are you going to tell Jason, hey, you're going to do a fight while all this thing's moving, and then objects are falling on you? That was like, oh, okay, you're going to tell him. No, I'm not going to tell you, tell him. And so anyways, we have his stunt double that comes and performs it all. And then sure enough, Jason comes in, looks at it, he goes, okay, I'm going to do it. And I go, you are? He goes, yeah. And he jumps right in it. And how we did all that, it was just amazing how, with the special effects and props.
Eddie not only coordinated the scene, but he had the privilege of directing it. He had a vision of how he wanted it shot and leaned on the expertise of some of his crew.
I had to grab my fight coordinator because he's used to, doing previs, and he knows how to work the camera. I threw him in there to be a camera operator to help out, sell that movement and everything else. And I had sparks, and everything just all came together. And to me, I think that was one of the hardest to shoot. As you're talking about like a 7x10 room, and then you have cameras in there, and you have 4 people in there doing a fight scene. That's hard. That's hard to do, And so to me, that was a challenge, and I was very excited that David let me direct that scene, and it was awesome. And with having Jason on board made it a lot easier for me.
So where does that one rate on the Stuntometer difficulty scale?
I give it a 95 because it was tense.
95. So which Jason Statham stunt was the most difficult in a working man? Well, according to the Stuntometer and Eddie Fernandez, it is a tie between the motorcycle chase and the fight in the van. What's your favorite Jason Statham stunt? Comment down below. And thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more exclusive behind-the-scenes insights to some of your favorite TV shows and films.